Hello and welcome. I'm Shadow of Shadow Gaming, bringing you Programming with Shadow, episode number 48. In today's lesson, we will be finishing up unit testing for our movie watch list. So, in the previous episode, we finished up the main functionality and we wrote some unit tests here for a formatter. We're also going to write for the parser. So, we'll just go ahead and jump in. So, come here and we'll right click here and go add a new class, and I will call it movie list CSV parser tests. All right. If we can get it in place. All right. So let's see what we've got. So we have the parse line method, and then an internal split CVS, split string, escaped. Okay. Okay, so the one's escape, the other's the inverse. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, we'll take a look at this. So let's begin here. So first case here is if it has an invalid length. So there's two ways here for an invalid length. If the length is less than 4 or greater than 5. So we can do those two cases. Fact using XUnit, and so we'll say public void parse line throws parsing exception when CSV has fewer than 4 fields. All right, there we go. All right, so we'll do that case first. So let's do our so var here. We'll do this one like this. We'll do I don't think I want to do this. Assert dot throws parsing exception. We'll do it like this. And then parse line. And now we need the whole class. Parser dot parse line. Passing in dot string input. We'll put an @ sign for a verbatim literal. So we'll say whatever we give it here, input should throw var ex dot message. Now assert dot equal invalid count of fields in line. Let's see, assert. There starts with. We'll do starts with, and we'll stop there. And now we'll do the full equals. So we have the line here, so we'll just do this. We'll do it like this and do it like that. Click something. All right, what's it saying? Yeah, that, and then ex.message. There. What's this fussing about? Must be public. We'll make it public. Okay. There we go. That should be the first case. So let's see if it runs, and it's not showing up in our analysis. Let's rebuild. Still not showing up, so we'll just find it. Here it is. We run it, and it fails. So what did it fail? Exception type was not an exact match, so we put in string empty. So that makes sense. So let's fill out a CSV. So oh, look, we got one right here. So less than 4. So that's saying it's missing some optional fields. So let's try it now. Here you're okay. So I guess we can't use our placeholder, so we will use this instead. There's the 2 fields. And it fails. Okay. Alright, so that one failed. So we'll step through here and let's take a look here. So what we're going to have to do here is we're going to have to test through this as well. So basically by it being static, it's like it's all still here in this one class. So what we can instead do, let's see if we can split it out just a little more. Let's make sure where we use this at. 3 usages, 2 here and one in the test. Test one we don't care about, so let's see where we use it over here. We parse the line. And we use it here in load. Okay, so load makes sense. And here we're using it to make a parse, or make the parse, so probably still makes sense to use it there. The other way to do that, we could just make a movie. That probably makes more sense. So here we go. So we do need to refactor. So let's take a look here. So let's do a movie, new movie equals new. We'll comment this stuff out. We'll just bring over what we need. So Control K, Control C. So let's begin. So first off, we'll do this message. So enter that. Then we'll grab the title. Now new movie dot title equals title. And we can probably clean this up too, but we'll do it like this first. So there's the title. And this keeps us from needing to do the escaping. So yeah, I think this is the right way to do this. So now we'll grab the year. String year equals this. So now we'll need to do new movie dot year equals new date time passing in int.parse year. So we need to clean that up. So let's do it to do year. We don't actually care about the other values, so we'll need to clean that up. So what else is there? So next we have this line. Here's the watched. New movie dot watched equals watched dot equals yes string comparison dot culture ignore case. Probably want to be invariant there, actually. I guess it doesn't matter since we're only looking for one letter, probably, but probably we'll switch it to that. All right, we'll grab this one. There's the rating. String rating equals this. New movie dot rating equals rating. Is it just a string? It is not. So sbot dot parse rating. We needed to do clean up rating handling. And finally we have the review. So review, we'll just do that. Do this. Then we'll do new movie dot review equals review. Okay, so I think that'll give us the same behavior. There's just a refactor. Now it doesn't use the same functionality, so now we're only using format in a single spot. Let's clean up these two methods real quickly. So two ways we could do this. Or, we can make it do the looping way before, or yeah, probably should loop. So let's do it like that. So we'll just do what while trying to think how best to order this. So we'll say the message, and then we'll get out the value. So we'll need to store it out here. So we'll do int year equals 0 maybe. So now we'll do this. Now while int.tryParse year Your string. We'll say your string out year. And while that's not the case, keep going. There we go. Then on the outside here, we'll just take the year we just parsed out and put it in here. There we go. Now it'll keep asking, so could be better, but I think that'll be all right. In fact, let's just do the same thing here. We'll just do this and this. String rating. Yeah, we'll do it like this. So then sbot rating. This one will be rating string rating string, while that out rating. The movie just gets the rating. And there, that's a very light check. So I think this should work. What's it complaining about? Oh, sbot. There we go. Okay, so now we've got a very light conversion there. So now what does that give us? Yeah, okay. It's like, why is there two references? One's a test. Okay. So now we'll have the parseLine method here, but let's do this. We'll add a internal static. Does this return movie? Yeah, movie should be fine. parseLine takes in a string array of lines of fields. We'll say parse. Okay. So now we're going to do everything from here down. Now this, we'll call that, so we will return parse fields. In fact, we can just do it with CSV line. Now suddenly parseLine doesn't do a lot, but now this one does. The nice thing about this though is that now there's not a lot here. So let's do this. We'll add a comment here. So let's see. I think there's one for example. We'll put the example here. Now we'll remove this comment. All right, let's make it an expression body member. There we go. Or not. And I'll write the right format. I don't know what I've changed there. Yeah, I don't know what I changed there, but adding the example there gave us it here. Is it only when we use it? You rebuild and let's check when we use it. Rebuild failed. Where do we use it? Maybe not. I thought the example showed up here in this list. Hmm. Okay, we'll continue. Valid count of fields in line, and we'll have to adjust the line. So we'll do string.join, and we'll put the fields back in here. Okay. So now should build. Now the logic's isolated a little more, so now we should be able to just pass in an array of fields to our test rather than doing the full thing, because this is just calling this, so it's not doing much logic. You can tell by inspection it's doing what we were intending it to do here, so I think that's all right. Now we should be able to test these individually. So we'll start with the parse method. So back over here now, finally. So we'll go back here and we'll say parse. Now we're going to need to control the inputs, so we'll say string input equals this. Now the inputs title, year, and then next one was true. This should fail because it's less than 4. All right, so there's what there. It's incompatible due to protection level. So sometimes you won't want to expose that. So let's see. I'll Google it to make sure I still remember how to do it, but I believe I know how to do this. So if we come over here and look at the solution file, I'm going to press F4 on this file. It did not open. It's not properties. I know there's some way to do what I'm trying to do. Maybe it's from the tests. Right click properties. Um, push, well, I don't know where to find the option I'm trying to find. Tell you what, let's do this. Let's go here. Let me open in File Explorer. Let me show option. Open with code. Let's do it like this. So if we open the solution, so the solution is just a file, just like everything else. So it looks something like this. So each one of these IDs points to your project. So this is our one project. Here's the other. So this is our logic project. I'm going to grab this. It might be this one. It's one or the other. I'm going to grab this and let's do this. So grab it. Go back over to Visual Studio. Let's go to the test project. No, it's actually this one. Yeah, here. We're going to add us a section. So I think item groups where I want it to be. Let me find it. I think in here we will say assembly attribute. I'm a little surprised it's not asking me, like it's not giving me any help. It will include system.runtime compiler services internals visible to missing required white space. Yeah, that may not be it. Yeah, wait a minute, something feels wrong here. Let's see. Let me check the other page. Okay, so let's see. So it says underscore parameter. This still isn't how I've done it before. So the assembly name, so this one actually wants the name, so that was, or this. So let's see, does that fix the warning? We might have to rebuild, I'm not sure. No. Yeah, that does not feel like the one I've done before. Pause just a second. Okay, we are resumed. So I got it. Presumably, I mistyped something here somewhere. I'm not sure where I mistyped it. I'll have to go back and look and check, but this works. So what this is telling it is it let this project see the internal methods of this other project. We're going to use that for testing, and I don't know if it's a good idea to test, but I've seen it here and there, and this is always how it's used. It's or you separate something out like this and use it for testing when something's a little tricky or a little convoluted, the test. And I'm not saying this wasn't really that tricky or convoluted. Like there's a lot of stuff here, but it's not really that much. But we're going to see that this made it easier because we're going to be able to separate this out. But yeah, so there we go. Now I was able to run the test and it failed. And there. It failed, but it failed because of this. So if we do a string.join, comma, input, like this, I believe we're going to have a success. Let's see. We have a success. All right, so there we go. Viewer, so let's change this to a theory. Wait a minute, I may not be able to do this actually. We'll see. Let's see. So we'll do title, copy title, comma, true. There's just 3, and we'll do one that's empty. Like that. So we'll say, let's do grams string args. So let's see if we can just pass that in straight. I think that's going to do the trick. Let's see if this works. All 4 of these should fail, and they do. So there's an unfortunate thing in C#. So what I can do here, I can pass in a null. So I can say null, make an exclamation, and now we can pass that in, and now we're not going to fail with the correct error. We should still fail, but it won't be correct. I'd like to be able to read it, but we'll just look at it here. So there, exception was not a match, object was not set. So you can always pass it in. So a lot of times it's a good idea if you're not going to be controlling the code, or you might can get stuff from otherwhere. A lot of times it's good, even if it shouldn't be null, to do something like this. Argument null exception dot grow if null fields. There's just one more condition. Over here, let's undo this change. Now let's add one last condition. So we'll say fact public void parse line throws argument null exception when input is null. So we'll copy this, copy that. So now we'll pass in null here. Now we're expecting it to be a argument null exception. And it's going to have the default naming, so let's adjust here. So that one should still fail because the messages differ, and they do. Let's do I don't care. This one's a system implementation, so I actually don't think I care what the actual value is. So let's just delete that, and we'll just leave it at this stage. So there we go. So now we have another check. So there's the 2 checks here. We can also do change this a little more. So when CSV, it's not CSV when input has more than 5 or fewer than 4 items. So there, we can pass beyond that. So we'll copy this. So 1 review, and then too many. There, we should see that one also passes. And there we got the other side of this condition. The one other thing you might could do is you could test it with a lot less, see if it fails on the extremes, because it may, but we'll go ahead and stop there. And we'll keep on looking. So next we do the parsing. So this is the year parsing. So this is checking if the year is valid. So we'll say, well, I already know it's going to be a theory, so we'll just do a theory and we'll pass it in. It's less than that, so $17.99. So we'll do public void parse line throws parsing exception when here is invalid. When here is invalid. We'll just do that. So I'll just go ahead and grab this. And here we'll copy this one because it was actually closer. We'll change this to $17.99. Give it a rating of -1. That's default, and we'll pass in params string args. There we go. This one doesn't fill out the same way, so this one gives us a different message, so we'll have to adjust the message. Here, I guess let's see it fail first, and then we'll adjust the message. There, and you can see it's the message. So now let's fix the message. So now year args at 1. And that's the exact same thing that's over there. Could not. There's 2 spaces there. There shouldn't be 2, right? No, could not be converted. I'll just copy the rest of it and there. Now this one I think will succeed. Let's see. It succeeds, good. So let's test some of the other conditions. So another failure case. If it's something else, so if it's not a number, so A, fail. If it's over 9999, so 10,000 should fail. If it's something odd. Five minus 1 for the day. Let's just see what these do and see if any of these fail. I think they all should succeed. They all 7 pass. Okay. So there's just a little more field validation. So that checks the success condition. It checks if it's less than that or if it's greater than that. So I feel pretty good there. So there we've got a year. All right. So now we check the for true or false. So once again, I'm going to want a theory. In fact, let's just copy I guess we'll copy this one. So throws a parsing exception when watched is invalid. So let's make these all something valid. So we'll just say 1947. So here, invalid, anything that's not true, false, or F, or a T. So there, I'm not going to do all of that. I'll use do a 2. We could do a 1. We could do a 0. See if those actually come through as true or false. They shouldn't, but just check and see. We are doing a 2 lower, so it'll handle this. So we won't. These will be valid. So we'll skip these. Let's see if this one fails, and it should fail because the value doesn't match. And it fails. Of course, it doesn't tell us why it fails. I think I need to do a little more work with Visual Studio's Test Explorer. Router is just feeling better to me all currently. Yeah, what was that? Here. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's correct. We'll copy that. That should be a period. That should be a period, and we'll change this to say args. All right, now do this run. And it failed. Okay, why did it fail? I put the period in the wrong spot. Now it should succeed. And we pass. Okay. There's the negative for these. Here's another interesting one. We'll grab this. We'll do T, T, F, F. All right, so invalids here. So A dash math symbol something less than that. I don't know how long I've been muted. I'm sorry. I'll have to check if how long I've been muted and may have to go back through this separately. I tell you what, look, we can go through this separately anyway. So if you've been watching and I've been muted, I'm sorry, but we've wrote some tests and those tests check the different error conditions. This last little bit, it was failing though, and it was failing when I have this set as class. Now this one will succeed, or this one will fail, and it'll say they don't match, although they do. The reason they don't, or the reason they match is because it's a when it does the comparison, it calls the equals method on the class. So the equals method on the class just checks the reference. The reference is the address in memory, so it says it's telling the computer, look here and see if these memory addresses match. Even though the items inside the memory address match, the addresses don't match, so they fail. One way to fix that is to switch this to record. And record's just a special class that it basically overrides the equals method automatically, and it says compare this field, this field, this field, this field, and this field, and compare the values in them and see if they match. And if they do, then your movie matches your whatever your record is. So now we will see with just that one change, this succeeds. Nothing else should have broken. So I could check the other tests if we wanted to. We should see none of them break. So there we go. So I'm hoping I wasn't muted too long, but I may be muted too long. So if there's a long pause or if there's a pause in part of it, but we've kept going, that's what happened. I don't think I really covered anything all that important, so I may see if I can just cut some of that out or something. But what we did was we went through, we added a null check because you can make things null even if they shouldn't be. We do get a compiler warning telling you that that's null and shouldn't be, but that's the extent of it. In fact, we can check that here. We can see this. Here it's giving me information, not convert null literal to non-nullable reference. And the correct fix is to not do it, but what we can do is that instead. Yeah, whatever this is failed. So that's something crashing is what that is. But it didn't take us down, so. But yeah, so there we go. So we can do that. Then after that, we wrote a bunch of tests. We had to do a little bit of refactoring. And what we did, we refactored to make this method a little more testable without having to test both of them at the same time. And we did that by making this the public method, and it does the exact same thing. It calls parse on the split content, but doing it this way lets us do some testing without really restructuring our logic. Maybe we needed to restructure our logic, but we didn't, so this works. Then we've just tested the various fields throughout. I've just done the negative side, so anything that doesn't work has been tested, but anything that works isn't. This is in fact the first one that actually tests everything except this if. So this jumps over this if and checks this. So what I'd want to do now is to do a little bit more error checking inside here. But we are out of time, so if I didn't cut off too much of the video, like if I'm muted too much, I'll just have to redo it. But if this goes up, where we'll pick up next time is we'll finish testing parser class, looking toward positive and boundary value analysis. So those will be the next steps. So hopefully I didn't cut out too much and we can just use that, but if we did, we'll see. But yeah, we'll call it there. So this has been episode, I don't even remember which episode 48. Had a little detour in the middle to make something internally testable. there here. That's something that we definitely haven't looked at before, but it basically lets you use an internal method from here, and you can use it in the tests. You have to specify which projects can use them, so everything doesn't get it, but just those projects. But that'll be that'll be our stopping point for today. So thanks for watching, and have a wonderful rest of your day.